Right, guys. Okay, so once you've built and once you've added your Bezier curve and your empty and your keyframes and your camera, and maybe your camera is also on a Bezier curve, maybe once you've done all of that, you want to render it and you want to see what it's going to look like as a final product. Now, we might not want to render all of it. We might just want to render part of it just to see how it looks. Yeah, so how do we do that? So I've got my project here, and looking through my camera, and let's say I just want to render the first couple of 100 frames just to see how it works. Right, so there's a couple of important settings that we need to know about. Now, for testing, we're going to use this setting, and I will show you where this goes. And that's because this is much faster, yeah? So we've got two settings. We're going to render right at the end. Once everything is perfect, we're going to render in high resolution. But while we're testing, while we're just practicing, we can render in a much lower resolution because it will be much faster. It will only take about 2 hours as opposed to about 8 hours, yeah? So for testing, we're going to use one set of settings because we're going to do this many times. Because we will see that we will render and we don't quite like something. So we will go back and we will change it and we will render again. And then we will get a little bit further and we'll notice another mistake and we'll render again and again and again. And if each time it's going to take 8 hours, it's going to be really painful for us, yeah? So we're going to use lower resolution. This is still quite high resolution, but we're going to use a smaller resolution for testing. And then when everything is perfect, we will increase the resolution and we will get a beautiful high resolution animation, yeah? Right, so where do these go? So the setting, now there's another setting as well. 32 samples here. And this one is also going to be 32 samples. Now, 32, so I'm in here, I'm in render, I'm in sampling, and I'm in render. And if this doesn't say 32, it should say 32. So change that to 32. Then output. So if you're testing, we want 1820, which goes here, by 720, which goes here. If you're right at the end of your project and you're rendering for your final video, then we use 2560 and we use 1440. But this is right at the end. This is for our final render, yeah? When we're testing, we do that. Okay, so we input those settings. Then what do? We save it and we close it. Then we open up terminal. My terminal is this color. I think yours is a kind of yellow. And we use this command prompt. Now this looks a bit difficult, but let's break it down, yeah? Because there's actually not a lot that we need to change. So let me go ahead and put this in here. And what I recommend you do, I will put this in the comments. What I recommend is you copy this, you open text edit, you go file new, you paste this, and you save this in your Blender folder. And you save it as how to render.txt. Yeah? Now, what do we need to change? Well, you will need to change this so that it's your file name. Now, your file name might just be your name, which is nice and easy. Yeah. The folder, I think, is G7 and space. Now, spaces are a problem. We need to escape the space. Yeah. So if your folder is called G7 Blender, we actually need to escape that. So we need that /. This we don't need to change. Now, your scene. This needs to match whatever scene you are rendering. So for example, here mine is called scene. Yours might be called something like, what is it? Semi-final 1 neon or something, yeah? So your names need to match. Whatever it says here, it also needs to say here. Yeah. Where are we going to render? So we open up Finder, and down here it tells you where you're going to render. You're going to render into your PNG folder. So users, this is my username. Yours will be different. Documents, Blender, PNG. Yeah. So again, whatever it says here, it needs to say the same here. Yeah. And if yours is G7 Blender, then we need to escape it. If you get stuck, just put your hand up. I'll come and help you, okay? Once we get this working, we save it. We don't have to worry about it. We can just run it again and again, yeah? F, so this is the number of frames. So I want to render from frame 1 to frame 1800. If you just want to render the first 100 frames, then you just render the first 100 frames like that, yeah? Once we've got that, we copy it, we put it in terminal, and we press go. And here's one that I rendered earlier, and it will go through each frame. Okay, so frame 170 took 2 seconds, 174 also took 2 seconds. Yeah, and then what you will see, you get all of these files in your PNG folder. I rendered the first 200 frames. Yeah, so it gets down to there. Okay, so the question is then, what do we do with all of these PNG images? Now, let's remember, you're going to start rendering at the end of a lesson. Yeah? And then at the start of the next lesson, you will have all of these files that you can do something with. Yeah? We're not rendering in class. We're going to start this at the end of the lesson so that at the next lesson, we've got some files that we can use. So how do we use those files? So we open up Blender. Okay, so I've got an empty project. This is not my main project. We go here. We go video sequencer. Then we go add, and we go add image sequence. Then from here, we go to our PNG folder. If you can't find it, put your hand up, ask me. Yeah. Then we go all the way down, we select. Now, so I've got 200 frames. So this number needs to be the same as this number. My end frame is 200. Okay. My first frame is 1. My end frame is 200. If you've rendered 500 frames, this will be 500. If you've rendered 1,800 frames, this will be 1,800. Okay. Add that. Now we need to change the length. I rendered 200. Again, if you rendered 500, you need to change this to 500. If you rendered 700, you need to change that. Yeah. Then what do we do? Then we go to output. We don't need to change these. We do need to change this. So I'm going to output to my MOV folder. Yeah. If you can't find it, again, just ask me, okay? And then here, we're going to output as FFmpeg, and then we just simply go render animation, and this should be really quite quick, yeah? Because we've already generated the PNG files, all we're doing is we're just stringing them together, yeah? Okay, so there we go, that's done. I can close that. I can close this. I don't need to save that. I can go to my MOV folder. Here it is. I can rename this. Yeah, first 200 frames test. I can open it. Okay, it opens in VLC. Okay, looks nice. The quality's not super. Yeah, we can see that the resolution is not fantastic, but that's okay because we're just testing. Yeah. Okay, good. When we've done that, these PNG files, we don't need all of them. We do need the first one. Yeah. So all of the others, we can delete those. The first one, So here, frame 1, okay? Actually, let me organize these a bit better. Yeah. Okay, so now I've got frame 1. We need to keep this for the final video, and I'll show you that in a future lesson. And this, and what we can do, we can create an assets folder. Yeah, I've already created one. You just go right click, new folder, assets, and these two files, this one and this one, can go into your assets folder because we need these files a little bit later, and I will explain all of this a little bit later, okay? So then you've got an empty MOV file, you've got an empty PNG file, so that if you do render again, you're not overriding any files. Okay, guys, try that, okay? If you get stuck, just stick your hand up. I'll come and help you, okay?